You could only dream of that, really. Someone who would usually go for the typical living area kind of thing. Wait, are we already in stream, or...
What'd you say?
Are we streaming already?
Yeah.
Oh. Never mind. Holding back now, sorry. Now I'm just... I don't know, it's like... What's the point in just living there? Because... Why not build something interesting? Especially, like, the town thing was around since Stormblood, right? Like, I saw a few, like, mason work roads and stuff like that, right?
Yes, I did see, people making alleys. I remember Alice.
But not entire towns.
Alice did a town.
Oh, really? Oh, I think I remember with the,
Alice's. That was nice with the, like, shower lamps. Like, the shower post lamp things.
Yeah, let me
did Alice...
see when that was.
Was she the one who did the, little bamboo kinda alley thing sitting areas? I can't describe it really, it's just like this bamboo planter.
I don't know if that might have been that same build that we're talking about with the lamp posts, but I mean Nora's is amazing. I mean, kind of the same concept. He uses the dolmen instead, the dolmen dogwood, but it's just gorgeous. I mean, it looks like a urban like town.
Yeah, that's something that is really hard to replicate, especially considering the item limit.
Yeah,
it's also something
so Alice made this town in December of 2017. So yeah, the town scheme has been around for a while. Let me pull up Nora's most recent creation, and if you're not familiar with Nora, I'm just gonna say he until I know. But Nora is an amazing designer, Japanese side. Basically, whatever Nora makes trickles down and to like the populace, and then we make something out of that. So I would say it starts with Nora.
He's probably the biggest name in housing. Like, there are a lot of big names. Nora, I think, is the biggest.
I mean, if I would say who you think the most popular housing person is, I think that would be Nora, definitely. Like, many people know their name. And if not the name specifically, like, the name Nora doesn't ring a bell for a lot of people, they will look at the build that Nora does, and they will know it's them, because they have seen it. They have linked it to the commissioners or something like that before, because everyone just wants something like Nora does.
Yeah, let me dig
Ironically,
probably
because
turn off that overlay.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
People just say, what's the purpose if you can't live there? And then people come up with, hey, can you build something like that in commissions? It's kind of ironic.
Well, it's interesting when you're kind of a cutting edge, like, trendsetter. A lot of what Nora designs, people take little bits and parts of it and use it for, their own. Like you said, they link it to the person that they commissioned to do their house, or they find a picture and they show it to their FC mates and they're like, we should do this in our FC house or something like that. Like, so little bits and pieces of it get borrowed. Like, I can totally see a lot of people starting to I can see this becoming a trend, using the top of the oriental partition as a railing, the way that Nora did.
That's been around for a while, though. I think people use it for those little Japanese garden tiles too. It's been around for a while now, but he did an amazing job using it for not just rooftops, but I mean, he used it in a rooftop there on top of a loft in the picture, but also this little archway you would normally see in Asian settings, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. Also, I agree, Miyuki. On the NA side, a lot of people first got to know Alice's name, I think. Because once you really dive into the stuff, you know Nora's name, but Alice has been, like, the go-to person for NA, I guess.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was, accustomed to Alice, and then, you go to Housing Snap, and Nora really wasn't posting that much on Housing Snap at that time. And it becomes one of those things where you start noticing this design looks like this design. where are people getting on these ideas? And you find Nora on Twitter eventually, and then it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. Here is the OG. Here is the one who created it all, the origin of all things.
I know that the Moogle Post, they're going to have that interview, right? I don't even know if I
Yeah.
should have mentioned it
Yeah.
in case it's like.
Oh, yeah, we might have.
Never
that might be a
mind.
leak. Shh. But there might be an interview coming up. So, but hey, I'm so happy to see this table of the open Hingen bookshelf because I definitely used that for a coffee table when we were first learning how to loft stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Yeah, and
I'm excited to see that.
yes.
Now that I see that, I haven't seen that around, even though it's like a single item too, right? It's a solid design, has a really flat and modern color to it. So if you just dye it black, man, that will fit in so many different modern settings too.
Yeah, I used
didn't
mine
consider-
pure white, and it looks great. Like the legs look like they belong. They don't even look like out
Yeah.
of place. I love that piece.
Of
And then
course you
over on
dyed
the
it
other
blue,
table,
right?
of course I did. And then over on the other rooftop, there's like a little like sitting like table with food set up. It's so cute.
Dude, those balconies, they warm my heart. It looks so like, you know how I'm such a sucker for immersion, right? And the close-up walls really, usually I would say, yeah, okay, doing is an entire city in a small house or a large house, you will see the outer walls and it will feel less immersive, right? But he packed everything into this small area, and it looks like a crowded city, even though it has blocked off areas, right? It looks
Yeah.
like those are actually house walls instead of just blocking walls. Sorry, Ashton, I cut you off like a minute ago. Continue.
It's okay. Honestly, I think this is probably like their magnum opus. It's amazing. They usually do kind of large scale designs before the loft anything glitch. So they would always do very interesting things, but the middle part was usually open, but he would always find a way to kind of close it in still. But I think this is probably one of the best ones where you can actually look at it, and I forget that you're looking at a house.
And not only
Right.
looking at it, just visiting, dude. Holy fuck! There are so many people visiting Nora's place. There are so many screenshots on Twitter. It's
Okay,
hilarious.
so yeah, and weren't you talking about this before? I think I might have like walked back in on it while I was coming back from getting my water, but like I saw this linked on Reddit, right? And someone was like, "Well, it's kind of pointless. Like they're doing it for the sake of, creativity and making a design, but like it's not built to live in. Like it's not a home per se." And
Yeah.
I mean, Ashen, you have some screenshots ready, right? Like of just how many people go there and take screenshots and like I don't want to say like they go and RP in his house, but like actual like look at this. This actually looks like an
Meeting.
actual setting of a restaurant and people meeting and talking, and look at that person's like ordering one from the row behind the bar. Like you can't tell me that's not meant to live in. That's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
especially, I think, yeah, Bloop just pointed out with World Wizards, people like showed up with their Dome and Enclave outfits and stuff like that, right? And it feels so nice. They are sitting on the balcony together, and you look from below and you will see people there if you visit. Man, I can't get my character there because I don't have a character there who can visit Shirogane. So I would have to visit to actually add someone. But dude, I would take so many screenshots of the people just sitting there enjoying their stuff. They talk a lot. I've seen a few screenshots where people just chat. They sit there, they meet up and chat. And holy shit, this is the kind of stuff I want to see. This is the immersive stuff I want to see, really.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ash.
Oh well, I visited another one of his designs a while ago. It was that pub. Do you remember when he did that British pub?
Oh yeah,
yes,
that
the
was
British
so
pub.
good.
Oh my goodness, I love that house.
No one really did no one captured such a good feeling of a British pub before. They usually look like some kind of rundown adventurous pub, but he actually managed to. This was when the when showcases were released, right? He first used it for the what are those things called that are hanging from the roof of the ceiling from above the bar? what are they called? Does that even have a name?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't
But
go
you
to
get
bars
what I
enough
mean, like-
to know the lingo. Yeah.
He pulled out the wooden showcases in the perfect way, and people used it since then, and I still use it today, actually.
Yeah, people use that design, but when I went to go visit, it had been maybe a couple weeks after he had shown it, and I was like, oh, I have some time, I'll go check. And again,
Something completely different.
this was a while ago. No, he actually keeps it, but there were so many
Oh.
people there.
Oh, really?
There were still people there sitting around. Like you said, they were talking. They were chatting. It wasn't like RP, you know?
Yeah, they were just chatting. They just sat there, enjoyed their stuff. Because I hear that a lot of Japanese people do that in game. Like, they don't like sit in a Discord and do something on the side. They actually get the characters to some house, especially Nora's, as you said, very popular, especially after World Visit. They just sit there and talk in game.
Yeah,
They don't-
it was very interesting. I couldn't obviously talk to them, so I used my auto translate and I looked around. But yeah, and I didn't know that's what they did.
And is that not just the dream of a designer trying to make a space that's actually going to be used for something?
I'm gonna look for this pub since we were talking about it.
Yeah, same.
I
So,
loved
Miyuki
that
just
pub,
saw it.
especially because it wasn't just the inside of the pub. Like, you didn't just walk in the door into the pub. I believe there was like an alleyway. He used the tiles, and like you walked in and you walked into this sort of like outdoor setting, and then there was his own door into the pub. It was fantastic. But like I just can't wrap my head around someone knocking Nora for blocking off space because, quote, it's not a space meant to be lived in. It is. It's a space meant to be used and enjoyed, and it creates this immersive place for people to gather and enjoy.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do, especially if you want to make something like lived in. He really did an amazing job. I'm surprised how he fit all of that detail inside such a small item limit. And the people who say it's not good for being to live in, like just because it doesn't have a bed, or you can't think outside of your box. Like if you are just an NA player and you don't do stuff like that usually, and then you consider how the Japanese community treats those housing areas, especially where they just meet up. They don't need a bed for their dirty ERP, you goddamn role player. They just,
Whoa!
they just, I'm just feeling kind of offended by that because there's so much work, so much dedication, and so much thought behind it on a player base, which Nora belongs into. And then someone comes up with, oh, the basement is blocked off. Like, dude, just suck a dick, seriously.
Okay.
Well, okay,
Let me
so
just throw this out there. If you enjoy sucking dicks, that's fine. It's not meant that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but no, I absolutely agree. Like, it's a different community that he's catering to, for one. But there's nothing wrong with it being different, and there's nothing wrong with. Again, I mean, obviously we know this, but like blocking off space is not a negative thing because you're able to create such beautiful things by doing it. They did not give us enough item count for these spaces. We know this. Everyone knows this. So, if we want to create a beautiful immersive space like this, I think it's pretty well known that in order to achieve something like Nora has here, I'm amazed at what he's managed to do with 400 items. You know, it's absolutely incredible. Imagine what he could do with 800 or the whatever.
Oh, dude.
What should the mansion have per square foot? Isn't it like 1,200 or something like that? Someone mapped it out.
I think someone mapped it to that, yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
now that I
so-
think about, so can I add something just really quick?
Yeah.
Of course.
It's something also very unusual for people to do, especially with that limited item count, to build up. This is something we mentioned before, but he actually built up for those balconies, and he added another layer in a vertical direction instead of just having multiple layers against the wall or something. This is something that
Right.
not many people do, and I appreciate it a lot. I mean, they are usually giving, like, when people do the balconies or the lofts, they leave it at the loft, but he takes that even like 3 or 4 steps up. Like there are four levels, for example, sometimes in his builds,
Well,
use
and they're not
different
linear.
things.
Even
Yeah,
vertically, they're
exactly.
not linear. There's one, at one level, and then one at a like offset level, and then the next one over and back and higher up. You know what I mean? Just like a real city would be. Just like the buildings have different heights.
Also, the Asian architecture really helps with that too, because it's not straight up. It's usually leveled, like the ground floor is the widest, then it trims down with every floor. You know what I mean? You can see it with the
Right.
shurikana walls. This is really something that helps a lot with this build to actually save item slots too.
And using he did use the shrines, as was a common thing before, but using the wooden steps also for the angled upward roof, also really cool.
Man, those cherry blossom trees with the, I think that's the Tsukiyomi tank in the background, right? To imitate a wall, but he blocked that off with the trees, so it looks like an actual ending. Like it actually goes further than just hitting the wall there. And I love this so much.
Off the top of my head, looks like Ashen's gonna grab the address. But I mean, back to what you were saying about building vertically, like I know Ashen has done a couple, even her personal house, where she has built entire floors above. I remember the one she did immediately after, I want to say immediately after 4.5, with the commission of that FC house that had like 3 different floors and then like this wide open top floor with like rafters and beams everywhere. It was so cool, and I was like, whoa, all of that in the big tall space of the large. That's absolutely incredible, and it still felt so like open and wide open, even though it was blocked off to that one space.
But yeah, I think excellent point. Don't be afraid to build up, because I think a lot of people see the space, they need to fill it, and also they think, oh, I'm making the room smaller, it's so cramped. But no, just start making stairs. Now we have lofts. Just go up, up, up.
I think they're afraid of the effort put behind lofting all this stuff. But let me tell you, once you actually get into glitching, I was so afraid of floating the right white rectangular walls, right? And once I got it, it's just automatic almost. It's just like I'm like whistling on the side while doing it, or singing to a song I listen on the side. It's just so easy. It's something that comes with you just memorize it, and it's super easy. And people are afraid of actually floating stuff that much, like in that picture, for example, because there's so much work involved. It looks like, but if you actually try to do it yourself, it's not that much.
Yeah, I think it does take a lot of planning, and I'm someone who
Planning, yes.
I don't plan very well, and
I don't play at all.
yeah, and I find lately with the float anything, and you can make whatever with furniture, it is very hard. And I kind of think of it as like a cake, like decorating a cake.
You start with the basis, and then you just add the layers and the decoration afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. I tend to put the decorations in a corner. Like, I do a corner and I already throw all the decorative stuff in the corner before even hitting on the wall on the other side.
Now, there is a lot to be said, though, for enjoying what Square Enix has given us in terms of, the houses and Eorzean style. I mean, what Nora has built is absolutely incredible, and I think it is definitely a result of letting your creativity run wild and approaching it like a sandbox, like just building in it whatever you want, and not sticking to the rules and not coloring within the lines. But Square Enix made some really pretty buildings for us. I mean, I think, because I'm partial to lavender beds, so the architecture of lavender beds is gorgeous on its own. Let me just throw that in there, just throw some salt on those wounds. The rounded pillars, the dark woods, the very pretty embellished like rafters and stuff. Lavender beds is gorgeous. Not to say that the other ones aren't. They all have their own interesting, unique charms, which is something that Div, I think, has really explored with his lore-friendly city builds. But those are things that we all have enjoyed at one point. Usually when we're newer to housing, we come in and we're like, oh my goodness, these glade pillars are pretty. I need to make more glade pillars that match these glade pillars so that I can have glade pillars throughout. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna use the glade walls and I'm gonna make them all match. And I really enjoyed that. I really liked, matching those and playing with those, and really I loved what Square Enix gave us.
I mean,
And then I got bored.
No,
oh my god.
I'm the opposite. I just want to erase everything.
I must agree with Ashen here because I really like the boundaries that Square Enix gave us, but as also Miyuki in the chat said, there are some things which really limit us, especially in largest, the pillars that are there and that you can't move, of course. You have to work around them. Of course, you can make some compromises, you can work around those items to make them into features, like I did back then with my first loft I did, if you remember that, in the FC house. I really enjoyed doing that, but as you said, having a sandbox where you have no limits at all would be extremely great, and I must agree that Lavender Beds is the best area. It just works for every single thing. But what Nora did here in the Shirogane house, it's in Shirogane plot, he captured this Kugane Hingashi kind of theme so fucking well. Like, I hate those stairs so much. Like, no one likes them. Fucking arrow below them. There's nothing good about them.
The arrow?
There is an arrow. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. If you gotta look, like, if you look at the black wood beneath the red stairs, there's an arrow pointing up. Like, I don't know. So basically,
I don't think it's an arrow so much as just supposed to be like an emblem. I think it's supposed to be some sort of like Hingan emblem. But go ahead.
It's a stupid emblem.
well, now I have to go look.
These are stairs. They go up.
Yeah. So what I want to say is that he used it in a theme where it works so perfectly well, and it looks like something like those typical old school Japanese kind of what are they called? You know, those shrine stairs, the red ones with the big red arches. People do use those a lot, but it works without those big arches too. And the mason work, was it mason work? Yeah, I think, yeah. The floor. It's so, like, I love it. It works so well, and I just love how he captured that feeling, this Asian Kugane style, so much. He even perfected that, in my opinion, because Kugane is really, there's not a lot of plant life in Kugane. It's just mainly city.
And it's like what you said, he tied in the aspects of the Shirogane house, like the natural. I normally hate decorating Shirogane houses because of at the top of the partition, how it curves, and it's just so extra. Like, that's just so much there, but it is incorporated into this perfectly. Like, look over on that left-hand side. You can just see the little bit of a blank Hingan partition with the, mason work on it, but you can see that curve integrated into making an edge to that building.
It's so good. It's like a little balcony window too, if you look on the top left.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It feels so different than what people usually do. People don't use this as a balcony, which a lot of people will do now, definitely.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I wanted to mention how I love people using those, what are they called? Kimono holders there on the right.
Kimono hanger, yeah.
You know those like sushi bars where you have to enter and you have to pull away that little sheet. I don't know how you call that.
It is definitely very traditional Japanese in style for like a street vendor almost, going into this little shop that seats two.
And he didn't use it on the left, which adds so much to the diversity of the build itself, which really surprises me, because some people would say it's about consistency, but in real life you don't have those things at every shop. Every shop is individual and different, right? And I don't know if this is on purpose, right? But if it is, that's the Galaxy brain. I like.
Well, I do want to bring up going back to the Reddit thing, and as I think it's a North American kind of viewpoint to use all of the space and not really kind of pushing yourself that hard, because obviously we love Nora. A lot of designers love Nora. We can appreciate and look at this, but to have them, like Rhapsody said, look at this and be totally negative and say, and their only comments being like, okay, but what about all the empty space in the basement? You know, and offering no input, really, not appreciating, and not realizing that people are using this space. And what exactly should a house be used for? You know?
Who decides that?
Exactly. And well, who decides who did it well? Like who, and what is achieved by making that comment? Like,
yeah.
There's, like, if you remember that, like, those typical hand rules, like, is what I say actually nice? Does it have a purpose? Will anyone even care if I say that? Like, what's the purpose in saying something that has no value to it?
Now, this picture, Rhapsody and I found last weekend.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful,
this is so nice.
gorgeous. This showed up on Reddit too, and one of the top comments is, "Oh, not pictured is all of the empty space," and that just ruffles my feathers so bad.
well,
I
and
understand that, yeah.
I know us personally, we've gotten comments in our message books that say, "Nice house, too bad about the basement." Like, is that really constructive?
Is that gonna be your takeaway? And
Right.
yeah, and it's they know what they're doing when they leave these comments.
Well, I won't say sometimes it's like a bit different to understand how people express themselves, especially if there's a language barrier. You can't always think they are meaning it in a negative way. In the way you said it, of course, it would be negative, but sometimes people don't mean the things they actually say.
No. This isn't like a try hard comment I got. This was...
Okay, can we talk about the try comment? Because I really thought that's funny. That's really funny, actually.
Okay, so somebody left in my my guest book, you know, oh, I know who to go to next if I want to try hard design. And I didn't really know how to take that. Now, Dim is a compliment. I think that's rude.
I mean, when you put it in that way, like, if it was a translation error, then I don't think they would have used the word try hard. Like, that's just it's an English phrase, try hard, and it's negative.
I don't know. It as I said, it could be a language barrier, but I don't think there's a negative thing when you say something like try hard in housing. I just think, why would, yeah, of course, like Ashley, like you said, yeah, of course, thanks, I tried very hard. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong about it?
You're right, though. You could not be more right.
Yeah, so I would see it as a compliment, because there's no way this, I mean, there is a way that could be hurtful, but what's the purpose of it? There's like, if someone said that, it would be just plain out dumb. It would be just stupid. There's no point in it.
I'll give you that, and I do think that was a language barrier. I'm not going to be too insulted by it, because yeah, you know what? I did try very hard. But when people leave comments in books, remarking, "Oh, I really like the basement," when there's no basement. You know, that's just like, okay, thanks for taking the time.
You're right, Miyuki. There are trolls. Yes, trolls are definitely a thing, but I think our discourse is more on the just the overarching God, what's the word I'm looking for? Attitude towards designers who will use less of the space in order to achieve a more ornate design. And a lot of people see that as a negative thing, and because they feel like by not using all of the space, it's somehow cheating. And I don't agree with that. I personally don't. Like, I like the houses. You know, I thought they were very pretty when I first built in a large. I was like, oh my goodness, look at all this space. I get to put things over here, and I get to put things over here, and I can have a sushi bar over here, and a seating area over here, and a hot tub over here, all in like these different corners of the house, and there's so much room for activities. And then I realized there's a lot of like weird empty space like between all of these activities. I don't know that I necessarily prefer this. It's not my preference, so I started building smaller.
Yeah,
I love what he said.
My design philosophy is when you spin your character around in a house that I made, I want there to always be something in your field of view. I don't want there to be an empty space.
Something busy, right?
And that doesn't mean it has to be clutter, But just looking around my house, like in real life, I can just look around and there's always something. I don't have huge gaps of just no space.
That's so true. This is something that a lot of people miss. Sometimes they have like a bed and they have like half a room of empty space between their toilet or something. It's just being empty or something. Even if it's just a floor, it's just a suggestion for other people. Never leave a floor empty. Use carpets, use something there. Like in this picture, if you would just leave a floor white, it would be boring. Like if you spin your camera around, you want something to look at. You don't want something to just be there because you have all that space. And I love how Rhapsody explained it. How I want to have a sushi bar there, and I want to have a bath here. Like that's a typical newcomer thing people would say. Like the sushi bar, bath, and bedroom. That's the three things that people want that start with housing. I wanted that. You wanted that. Ashen wanted that at some point. For sure.
Let's be real.
Wow.
They put a lot of artistic effort into
yeah.
these food housing items, and so many of them are
True.
sushi, and so many of them are beautiful. Okay, I wanted to use.
Now, we're gonna get into our next part because
Oh, there we go.
now
BJ.
BJ. So, in the previous picture, it's very beautiful, and I think the major takeaway we can take from that is that it was mostly white rectangular partitions, and there's layers. And I think layers are going to be kind of the new, not new because layering has always been a thing, but I think it's a lot easier now to layer. And when I look at this picture of BJ, it's gorgeous, and just from the ceiling to the floor.
Every aspect, yes. I mean,
There's so
and the
much.
ceiling is so often neglected.
Yeah, people don't. It's just as the same as the floor, as I said. The floor and the ceiling were so like before you had at least rugs, but with the float everything glitch, basically we have another layer on top of that. True. Also, Ashen, you're a bit quiet. Your mic
Is
a
that
bit
better?
quiet.
That's much better.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
sounded far away.
Yeah, my mic adjusts.
Oh,
Also, I think we mentioned those shelvings last. I think you guys did. I wasn't there, but I think you talked about the shelves. This is a similar design to that, right?
The shelves.
Like there. Mm-hmm.
which one?
Because
two?
on the left. with
Oh
all
yeah,
stuff.
the mummers
Yeah, the
wardrobe.
Mm-hmm. I saw in last, like I skipped through it and I saw that screenshot and I saw it on Housing Stamp too, right? There was someone who was really inspired by BJ. Their entire build was themed like that,
They did a
and
mannequin.
that looked so, yeah, with a mannequin, with a light.
Did
It
you
was
see,
so great.
Div? Did you see the hat on the bed? By the way.
I wanted to mention it. This is the first thing I wanted to mention when she brought that picture up, but I wanted to keep it in afterwards because that's something like people don't use Lala mannequins that often. I mean, I use it for like dragoon helmets and stuff like that, but people didn't really use them so far, which I'm surprised about, really.
It's so cute. I think a lot of people can't get around the fact that when you're looking at it,
The name tag
in
above it,
game,
right?
yes, you see the name tag, yes. But I think there's an option to turn that off, and also when you're taking the
No, there
screenshots,
isn't.
it's not there, and it looks amazing.
It's
But-
NPC, but it's NPC tied. So in your settings, you can turn off like those little arrows above the frames and selectable stuff, right?
Mhm.
Interactable stuff. But you can't turn off the NPC names without actually turning off the names of the NPCs in the world. So it's a
Oh,
bit.
that'll be perfect.
Also, it's not only you who sees it; it's also the people,
Right.
which is kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of sad.
But okay, so back to the white rectangular partitions. Look at how the ceiling has more than one level. Like the ceiling itself has more than one level. There's a
This is so
taller section where the bed and the desk are, and it's a little shorter over the living area, and obviously the white rafters. And I think he used the carpet, the rug, right, for the ceiling. Actually,
Yeah, that's the rug. Yeah, that's the red carpet dyed white. I think
No,
that's-
it's the wool.
combed wool.
Oh right, okay, I didn't see the texture of the floor because it was such a smooth texture. I think that's also because it's so well lit out.
Yeah, it is very well lit, and it's all white.
Yeah, I love it actually, even though it's fully white. But the main thing I love about this build is he kept the high ceilings even though he limited it. But you can see his row is still like perfectly fine. This is like a real life house, and you still have those levels with the little entryway and the stairs going down. You have those. In total, you have like the lower ceiling at the door. You have a mid height ceiling on the ground level, and then you have on the right you have a higher ceiling again. So you have 3 levels of ceilings with the actual details there.
Yeah.
Right.
And just back to the whole layering thing. I can look at this picture, and I would say almost every surface has another surface on top of it. The platform by the door, it's the brown, but it has the white rectangular partitions to cover it in. And even just the steps. Aren't those 2 different steps?
Yeah, those are like it's a bit further to the left and a bit lower, so there's a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
It's a nice little detail people don't do a lot because, of course, item slots. But,
nice whisper. But like everything is trimmed out, so that it actually looks like real life trim. So you're doubling your white rectangular partitions already by trimming out everything, trimming around the bookshelves, trimming around every single window, trimming around the loft that he has there for the entryway and the stairs, and obviously his artworks are mind-boggling to most people. Those are all just stage panels, by the way. Everything in that like modern art yellow gray piece on the wall is just layered stage panels lofted at different heights and levels, like just 1 pixel difference to bring it forward so that it sticks in front of the one behind it,
Yeah.
I also noticed the longer I stare at this picture, the more little things I find. Do you see the little adventurer's backpack on the top left on the shelf? That's just the lantern of it.
Yep.
Like a little thing, using things so unconventionally is something that is so nice about those builds. Or like with the of a little bench in front of a bed, with this little plate, the wooden one. It's so realistic because you would lift it up and bring over to the table. It makes total sense.
Hey Div.
Yeah, what?
Div.
Yeah.
Check out that
Yeah.
chair. Just hanging out. There's that chair there.
Wait, what?
Because you were making fun of me one time, like why do you have to have chairs just round?
Oh yeah, I really didn't realize that it could be just used to just. Okay, listen. Don't call me out like that.
Listen. Hey Mox, that is the one by the steps. That's just the top of the mummer's wardrobe. It just comes with those.
Oh, I want to show you something, Div, actually. Let me pull this picture back up. But it's on his previous picture. Speaking of just like little things that he used used a culinary, what's it called? The stove? See if you can find it.
Yes, the cooking stove.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you guys where it is. See if you can find it.
I see it already. It's great. I don't even know, but the thing here is I don't know what's it supposed to be.
No, it's in this picture.
I was gonna say, Div, it's not in that picture. How do you see it already?
What?
Yeah,
Where
is it? It's in this picture. Where's
the cooking stove?
Yeah, where do you put the stove?
Which stuff again?
The
2 stoves.
The culinary. I'm talking the one where you click it and you get a buff. The one with the hanging pots and pans.
Yeah. The one that gives you. The
I saw it in the previous. Oh, you mean on the left, below inside the mummer's parts there in the shelves?
Yes.
There's 2 of them.
Okay.
Do you see
That's
those
the lights.
lamps?
Yeah, I thought the lamps are from another thing, but they were familiar. So when you said it's from that, yeah, I immediately noticed it. What I was actually talking about is if you go to the previous picture, Ashen, the little thing that makes the smoke.
Armor or the blacksmith one?
Yeah, the blacksmith one. Like, yeah, very on the you can barely see it on the shoulder of a row.
Let me get a better picture.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that one. It's so cute. It's his little humidifier.
It's oh my god, humidifiers are a thing. Oh god, I don't see those in like real life. I never see a humidifier in my entire life.
Oh, you have apparently not been hit by the essential oils trend, my dude.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Oh god. Is that an American thing? I'm just a filthy European who lives a normal life.
Well, I'm not going to inject my personal opinion into this. Essential oils are very popular in the US, namely among women.
Moms,
And
stay-at-home
and
moms.
yeah, and one of the ways that people like to inject essential oils into their lives is with steam, and it puts it up into the air. And
Oh, wait, but BG is Japanese, right?
What?
well, but humidifiers are used for a lot of things, like
Yeah.
just
Okay,
moistening
true.
your
Yeah,
air so you feel healthier.
I off a trash bin with the that's a flame bed.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
flame bed, and there's the humidifier. Too bad it's not a gift because it really does puff out steam. It's the alchemy,
So
right?
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. I think the alchemy one. It's one of those crafting things. He's really good at hiding crafting stations.
That's
Yeah.
true. Crafting stations are underused item, just like in the what are they called? The forge things that where us like a lot of people
Yeah,
ask
the
what
pipes,
the pipes are.
with the
Yeah.
armor craft forge. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna bring this back again, since this is the main theme. When you look at this room, it obviously looks like a room. It's lived in. People come to go visit, but I remember somebody in our friend group went to go visit it and was like, "Oh, it's like on the top floor of a medium. What's the point?" And I think that they missed the whole reason. It's a concept. It's a beautiful concept build, and it's. When I look at that, I think these rooms are just like art pieces, honestly.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I know lately I've been making concepts. I made a bedroom, I made a bathroom, and I tore them down.
Trap.
I just think of it like I mean, one, you gotta focus on the fact that this is a hobby. It's a game. It's something we do for fun. Okay, that's a big point in all of this. But two, we're doing it for the sake of our love of creativity. You know what I mean? We like to just make things and make them look pretty. And so if we do just make a single room and use all 200 slots in a single room, or 300 in BJ's case, then we did it for the joy of making, of creating, you know?
Yeah.
And that's okay, because people will see pictures of it, and even though they see a picture of it and they're like, well, I could never do that in my house because it's only one room. Like, but you're still going to use ideas from it. You're
Exactly.
everyone is going to look at a Nora, a BJ, an Ashen concept and say, I really like this one part. I'm definitely using that idea in my house.
Yep.
But then again, they will complain about the item slots, which we also
You know,
noticed.
talking out of one side and then doing it on the other, you know?
That's so.
But,
so...
What Rhapsody said is, I think my design concept lately, I still obviously design just to design. I really like to make things. I've slowed down on commissions. I'm just finishing up my commissions that I have right now, but I'm not accepting anymore because I really enjoy just making things and pushing myself. And yeah, what I make isn't feasible, but then I'll hear, oh, I really like this, I'm going to use it. And if you even just use like a tiny piece of something I made, that makes me feel really good. And
That's true.
And it means it looks good, and that's the whole point. It's like I've said it before. It's like a showcase catalog. It's like an IKEA room. You know, I make it, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to try to use something from it.
And then I will tear it down, just like BJ and Nora do it. For
Yes.
example, like they don't keep every single build they do, and people just think. I think people just think they are gonna finish that build and never touch it again, so this will be the constant state of it. But they don't really realize that that's not the point of it. It's just to let your creativity out somewhere. Like you will need an outlet. Oh, this build, yes.
Thank you, Miyuki. We also love the 7-slot door. Miyuki in chat says, saw a comment on one of your break it downs about how awful it was to use 7 slots for a door. I about died. I love that 7-slot door. Yes. So pointing out in a negative way that the break it down uses 7 slots for a door, like, it's an amazing looking door. I mean, we all have our priorities, but I'm more than willing to give up 7 slots for such a realistic, chic looking door. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention too. If you want a boring ass door, just stick with your one slot item if you love him so much. But Jesus
you
Christ,
don't even have to use one.
Yeah, don't
you
yeah,
get
like,
one.
Yeah, you basically get a free door. So if your item slots are that precious, just stick to that, dude, and keep it to yourself. Seriously.
Oh no, they are allowed to have opinions too, but they just don't need to express them in such a negative way.
Well-
like, just let people enjoy things.
What I want us to do right now is, with that 7-slot door comment, I gathered different doors, and this is a front door, and I just want to show you, this is not 7 slots. Just going off of the windows and the greenery alone, it's about 10. Let's see, 1, 2 planters. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
6,
planters.
7, 8, 9, 10.
I count 10 if you count 4 windows,
There's
4
also
wall
verdant
planters, and 2 verdant partitions.
Yeah.
Not counting the stuff on the side, like there's side windows too, so there's 4 over there, and not counting the entryway with the tile and everything, but just the door and the side.
Yes.
I think people see the door as a single item while this is an entire entrance, and they would not put this into the same category.
Yeah,
say.
but
I
it's the same function.
Yeah.
Right.
Same
You're still masking the original door with something,
I love in this specific build the entryway, like it's cut off with the beam.
Yes, I
You
love
have
that
those
too.
an entrance tile where you can like have some greenery. It won't be like it's not bad if it hits the floor because the tiles are there, right?
Look at how
It-
precious there's the broom there too. Oh,
Yeah,
I
it's-
love it. My heart.
Like this is our typical guideline. Everything you see in this build, in this specific picture at least, it has a purpose there, and it's so perfect. There's so much thought put into it, which a lot of people miss. I think.
These are the Falcon banners from PvP. I think they're Falcon, right?
Yeah, those are the Falcon bows. You can get them, I think, 5k, 4k of the wolf marks.
Wolf marks, yeah.
I have
they're
a
really
hookup.
hard. I think they're hard to get,
I know a
especially
guy.
after this split.
I
Yeah,
know.
you know a guy.
Yep.
No, but for real,
FC
just do like one front line a day. You're good.
Yeah, when my FC member also, I asked them a few times, like, if you know anyone doing PvP, they don't need the wolf marks, trust me.
And here's another door. This is another front door. And again, let's just count the slots because this one obviously not as grand as we just said. It's not a huge entrance, but it's still very item heavy.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, counting the loft on the top, 9?
Yeah, I count 9.
Yeah.
With the lectern, 3 partitions to either side, a partition up, and obviously the wardrobe.
Yeah, but
It's really old school, yeah.
but looking at it,
It's a yeehaw door.
yeehaw door. But looking at
Oh, I got broke too.
you got him giggling. Oh my goodness.
Yador. Well, so for some context, I forgot the name. I forgot the word saloon, and I couldn't name it, so I just called them Yadors. And it's so
Oh
good.
my gosh, Solheim says everyone enters saying yeehaw, but no one comes in saying ha yee.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Sad cowboy moments. Holy shit.
Solheim,
This is
I
so
think you're my soulmate.
I just yeet my last haw, okay? But this door,
Oh my
I used it in my Ishgard build a while ago to just make a fake door, but it actually works here with the actual door because you can click through it. But there's
Yeah,
something
can
I'm
definitely click through
curious.
those.
There's something I'm curious about. Why is there light coming through the
I
shell?
think
through
they
the
have.
wardrobe?
They must have a default door with a window, like one of the merchant ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Yeah, in that case, it makes sense. It's true.
Or the Moogle or something like that.
It's something that lets light through the.
But yeah, so this
If
door.
not,
Sorry.
no, I'm done. Sorry.
But yeah, this door, again, slot heavy, doesn't look like it. It's not a huge grand entrance. There's nothing wrong with making a 7-slot door. Is what we're
Definitely.
basically saying.
Hmm.
Especially because it helps tie in the rest of the house and gives you that immersion that you're looking for. You can, when you're making a custom door, and not necessarily using the same whatever. Like, even if you don't, what's the word I'm trying to say? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that your interior doesn't have to match your exterior in style if
Oh yeah,
you
definitely.
cover it with a custom door, and so it opens you up to a lot more options, essentially.
Man, I
Yeah.
saw a dude who criticized other builds because the door and the door and the actual windows on the outside didn't match the inside, and man, that really triggered me. But because no
Too
one
much
like
for me.
there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of different build styles and kind of things people go for, but there's a single thing everyone agrees on: you don't match the outside with the inside. No one cares about that.
You just can't. There's nothing you
Yeah.
can do. Like, they
I-
don't
And
give you enough
you limit
options for
yourself.
outside.
That has never crossed my mind.
People do that,
Let's-
especially if you consider that what was I about to say? There's like little windows. There are some plots in Ulda in the Goblet where there are like below the houses there are little windows on the basement, but you don't have them indoors. So what's the fucking point, dude? Like,
Okay, so yeah, first house I ever did, and I was enamored with the imitation square windows. I was like, this is the only item for me. I'm gonna fill an entire house with these things.
God.
And one of my friends, like my FC mate, whatever, came and visited my house, and he was like, there are windows in the basement. Why would there be windows in the basement? I'm like,
Oh no.
just let me enjoy my sunbeams.
Just close off a basement.
I mean, I legit, I was
Oh.
like, well, let me, yeah, right. Let me tell you exactly how I built this house into the side of a cliff so that I could have windows in my basement. Like, it just, deal with it, dude. It's my fantasy. Let me.
There are a bit like I'm a sucker for immersion, but there are boundaries you don't want to cross. So.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
It's-
I did my best to do a side by side, but I don't know Photoshop, guys. All right. But
I can tell the
this one is gonna be all Rhapsody because she came up with this really good and I think concise example of why you should spring to kind of eat into your item limit. And I think it's really well done.
So,
Dude, that's
okay.
some-
Yeah, these are my windows in my FC house. I went for a BJ style, the one on the right, obviously, which is very white rectangular partition heavy. Those windows, those three, floor to ceiling type windows, take up 28 item slots. Okay, the ones on the right. 28
Yikes.
item slots. Yep, because you can see there's the black trim on the inside. Those are white rectangular partitions. There's the white rectangular partitions to surround it. There's one lofted up from the basement. There's one lofted up high to cut it off at the top. 28 item slots, but it looks so clean. The one on the left is a look that you could achieve that's very similar using only, what, 6? 7 if you count the stage panel behind it.
It's a
using...
Chinese bootleg.
But not my problem. I used to do windows like this, obviously, because I didn't know any better. We didn't have the loft glitch. We didn't even have white rectangular partitions when I started. But these imitation square windows, they're overlapped in the middle. So, when you're moving around, you'll see that fighting in that middle. You can kind of see how I was just using grid snaps, so it's not like they lined up exactly perfect in the middle, so there's like the double line in the middle. But overall, it is recognizable as the same look, right?
It's
But
definitely like you will see that it's the same thing, but there's a huge difference in style, especially with the walls you used on the left.
yeah, the walls I used on the left to try to, block it off and give that same, like, I don't know, grand upwards feel. Those are just the white partitions, just those, the ones with the, like, stucco on them. Yeah, but I just think that it's a very clear difference in looking at what you can do when you're trying to save item count and what you can do if you're willing to spring for the style, the look. You know what I mean? It's very noticeable.
It's aesthetically
It's really-
pleasing.
Yes.
It's really aesthetically pleasing, and it really depends. It doesn't even depend on the theme you're going for sometimes, because the picture you see on the right, it's not just modern. This is something you can use in lore builds, like I do, for example. In my opinion, this would be great. But as you said, 28 item slots are heavy, and you really gotta know and be sure about what you want in your house, because if you're building this and then you're building the rest, you gotta plan a bit at least to really understand what you need and what item
Right.
slots you can sacrifice, because there's a difference between complaining about not having enough item slots and making compromises, which is really something people don't get.
True. That is a very good point. There's a big difference between complaining and making compromises. I think in this particular setting, I have used these 28 item slots to create a big, like, statement piece. When you walk in the front door, this is the first thing you see. It's a huge focal point. And so I think those are 28 item slots well spent.
I agree.
But we're looking to do an entire wall of windows. Maybe this isn't the style for you. Right?
Yeah, you have to really optimize, pick and choose what you want to do. And also, for me, when I start to work on things, I'll make something, I'll throw it up, and then I will start to pick it apart and make it more efficient, but have a similar look, just so it's not item loaded.
Right, because there's a lot of things that you're building and you add an item here and you're like, oh, that looks cool. What if I add this item here? And then you just keep building on, and then you're like, hold on, let's take a step back, take some of these out. What can be used for the same thing that I'm doing? What can I spread out so that it's just barely touching? Do you know what I mean? Like when you're spacing out walls that you had like 3 when you only needed 2, that sort of thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember you did a kind of similar look in your small FC for your alt, right? Didn't you divide the windows up a little bit with partitions?
I did, yes.
Let me find that. Because that's a similar look. It gives off the same look as the one on the right. Not as aesthetically smooth, but it's an alternative. And I think that's a good takeaway people could use. You want that look? Here's an alternative. And so you don't have to just be stuck
Right.
with a vanilla kind of thing.
I'm racing you trying to find it.
I mean, yeah, it's yours. You probably have it a lot easier. But yeah, I know for myself, I don't like that texture mesh.
I win.
Yep, there it is. Let me pop it up. But I don't like that texture mesh that she mentioned. I will hide it with pillars, or often people will just throw like a wall planter on there just to hide it.
Mm-hmm. I personally love designing in small Sleepy Quail. I think that they have a very nice space to item count ratio. Not as good
That's
as
true.
an apartment. Smalls feel really nice to them.
I think smalls are even better than in my opinion. Apartments still like a lot of item counts, in my opinion. I mean, you will have a decent thing in an apartment with 100 items, right? But you could do so much more with those 100 more slots in a small. Like in one
Right.
in the old builds I did for Mox in the chat to here for VFC. I just felt like if you want something very trashy, like trashy in the good sense in the theme, where you have a lot of stuff flying around.
Leaked.
Yeah, basically. And I just need those item slots basically to capture that feeling. So I locked off a basement and people enjoyed it a lot. Like Sombra visited it a lot and the chat loved it too. They enjoyed to
The old
hear that.
themed build, yes, it was
Yeah,
very
the
pretty.
Very
The
pretty.
drug den.
Yeah. But here's these windows. Similar concept. Just used a pillar to divide. Really doesn't look too item heavy. It looks like those are white rectangular though, because you have the low ceiling.
Is it just one, yeah?
That's 9 items, so two. I think I only used 2 windows because of the spacing. Maybe I used 3, so maybe it's 10 items, but still 1 and then 2. So 6 white rectangular partitions, 1 loft, and maybe 2 or 3 windows. I don't remember exactly.
I think for a corner of that size, that's extremely well made, actually, if I think about it now. Because there's so much. Usually you would fill up a corner with so many items, but having a wall that's simple, especially with a light, the light will add texture to the wall on the right, for example.
Right.
It fills it up perfectly. Love it.
Well, the nice thing that I liked about this particular wall of windows is that it was around a corner. So to the left there's actually an arched doorway, and you went into the house and there was plenty to see in that main room, but when you looked in this doorway, you saw these shadows being cast on the door, and you're like, ooh, what's in here? It kind of draws your interest into this next room.
It really depends. It's sad that we can't lock the time of a build, like the time of the windows with a light. Wish we could lock the light. Imagine like having a hallway. I haven't seen it done a lot, but Ashen loves hallways, I know that. But having a hallway with like light coming through and throwing the actual shape of a window onto the floor is something that will add a lot of people who are into level design. It's rare that you have a day-night cycle in level design. Usually, like dungeons and stuff like that, right? Vault is a perfect example. It's constantly sunset there, and the light shines through those big church windows, and it adds so much to the entire dungeon. Even though you have huge, large ceilings and wide hallways, you will have so much texture in that. And this is something
that is
not
honestly
many
one of my favorite screenshot spots because of that just light flooding in through those church windows, always at that sunset dusk time.
Yes.
It's gorgeous.
It's best place.
It's funny that you mentioned about light and lighting in a house and stuff like that, because for me, I play a lot with the way shadows fall from the sun, and I've mentioned it before in the past, because I remember you were making fun of me because you're like, why do I have to plan it and map it out like that? But I do. Like, I watch the way the sun goes, and I make sure that the sun rays hit on walls and hit on furniture and drapes in a way that the shadow looks cool, because that matters to me.
Right?
It does matter. It's gorgeous.
Especially if you consider
those panes to be seen.
Especially if you have the windows facing the south, so the light won't shine through. This is something that people miss. Sometimes they will place the windows on the northern wall that it faces the south, and they will be like, wait, where are my sun rays? Because they didn't plan ahead, and then they have to tear it down or even reconstruct it the way they initially wanted it.
Ashen hits them with it. That's why they call it window pane. Oh my goodness.
God. That's a good one.
Jeez.
I
little Marshall in here.
I saw it. I took it.
Amazing. On the opposite spectrum, I actually put that window, the one that we just showed, the BJ windows, on the north wall on purpose. Because I wanted it to be consistent. Well, yeah, when you walk in and see it, but I wanted it to be consistent throughout the day. There's never a point in the day where it isn't just glowing. Like it's not better in the morning or in the evening. It's just always like that. I wanted it to just be like that, to just glow.
I think if you place a window on the southern wall facing, you will have light coming through at all time of the day, right? During the entire day cycle?
You will have light through the entire day cycle, but you will have rays throughout the afternoon. Like they'll be coming straight in the noon, like right at high noon. It's high noon somewhere.
Oh my god.
Sorry. Right at noon from the south. But the north never gets rays.
That's true. And here we have Ashen's beautiful windows without the light.
Yeah.
With the shade pulled down. Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
But also, I wanted to point out, we did a breakdown of, this is originally BJ's fireplace, and it took about 8 partitions, but looking at this picture, I don't know if people realize, but I did not go the full width of the black border there. It's not that wide. those were actually, I think it was like 12 rectangular partitions to make that black border. And again, I think that is worth it because it looks really cool. It's not that wide. I did it again in Jada's, in a recent one as well with like a fireplace. But,
Wait, so you're telling me these are lined up edges, right?
yeah, these are lined up edges.
Okay.
Very annoying to do, and
Yeah,
No joke.
because
looks like it.
Because I'm very weird about texture, and I was looking around like, can I see the seam? And I messed with it so much, so it was seamless. But there still was kind of something there. So my way of getting past that was I dyed it black, and I think it still makes a really striking piece.
Definitely. Absolutely worth it.
But yeah, you wouldn't think that this fireplace took so many slots, especially considering we did do the breakdowns. It's 8 walls. Oh my god! But this one's crazy amount of walls.
I remember someone asked about it, and it was just they were like, okay, that's one furnace. Wait, everything else just fucking 8 rectangular walls? No, I'm not gonna do it. I kind of got scared by it for some reason, even though, like, think about it, it's not that much if you want a really
But
nice.
it's unique, and
it's very
it makes
unique,
people
yeah.
question how it was made, because that the black on either side is not the full width of the white rectangular partition. So what is it?
Yeah.
I like it. I like builds that make people question, because when they question, they want to come see it. They want to come visit it in person and then look around for themselves and figure out how it was made. That's
Even
one of
that.
my hugest draws to going to BJ's builds initially, was trying to figure out how he made that wall art.
Yeah, and I mean, you either have people who go there instead of complaining on below in the comments. Oh yeah, it's a mod. I'm not.
No, don't. I was so blissfully just gone. I had completely forgotten that people accused me of modding. Like, come on.
Oh, she got modded hair. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
All right. Yes, the bed was a real big one. I don't know how to say your name. Keiko?
Keiko. Yeah.
Yeah, the bed
I mean,
was very popular because it's a bed that no one had seen the fluffy pillows, and it was a big bed, like a big modern
Yeah.
framed-in bed.
Yeah, I love
something
that bed.
that people. This is something else people will point out as, oh, it consumes so many items. I can just place a normal double feather bed down. What's the purpose? And those people they just lost. Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right,
I don't
because that's not why we built it.
Yeah.
We didn't build it to have a feather bed. Otherwise, we would have used the double feather bed.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
built it to make something different and bigger and better. Like, that's what it is. It is literally a bigger, better double feather bed.
Yeah, it looks much nicer. That's why it's sleepy, because it looks much more modern too.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
unlike the little wooden parts of the double feather bed.
Yeah, and I do see the bed. I see this bed so much. Just browsing on Twitter or Housing Snap, just looking in houses lately since World Visits opened. I've been in lots of houses, and I've seen this bed, and it made me do a double take. I was like, oh, okay. And
I don't remember putting that there.
but you're right. Again, I understand that the item count is intimidating, but either use it as a showcase or improve on it. Make it different. Make it the way that you want. Those
Yeah,
little
some
round lights
people
are
use-
snowman butts.
Are you
this
talking
is
about the red
classic.
ones, or the
Oh,
red
yeah.
ones are the Hingen?
Yeah, that's a Hingen one, just slightly showing. This is like a millimeter of texture showing.
I like that look.
Hingen
I do that a
Anvil
lot.
lamp. It's just from the vendor.
Yeah. People don't use them that much outside of an Asian setting, but I haven't. Actually, now that I think about it, that's a missed chance. The Garlean lab. Actually, nice red light.
I will have you know, Div, I use the Hingen Anvil lamps all the time. I use them for a faucet. They make a great kitchen
Yeah,
faucet.
of course, faucet. How could I not think?
How could you not think of a lamp for a faucet? Come on.
But that's something that is really unique to the housing community in Final Fantasy, at least to the people just using something.
No.
Of course, yeah. I'm gonna use the fucking room divider from faucet. Man, this is such a great name from the housing balance.
I loved the Japanese comment that we saw on one of the break it downs of, oh, a harp, of course, let me make it into a treadmill. Like,
Yeah.
I just you're right. I don't know how I came up with that, but there's a harp on the treadmill.
But,
2 of them, in fact.
You know, honestly, I love what we're doing with Break It Down because it's really made me think outside the box and trying to come up with really fun and just cutesy things. And I also like it that people submit things as well. Like Mercy was really happy to give us the medicine cabinet to use and the shower stall.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I really want
Mercy was
people to share
great.
this stuff.
I would really love, I'm just gonna plug this, I would really love to see more submitted break it downs. I mean, I put the templates for the little circles with the things pointing. I put that in the Discord, and anyone's free to use those templates, and just let me know if there's something else I can do to help you break your own stuff down and submit it and show us, like, show the world what you created. I don't want to, we're not looking to have HGXIV take all of the credit for all of these things. We want to show off what you made because it's cool, and we're just 3 people. We can't come up with, everything. And people make amazing stuff all the time, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is great. We should make that into a break it down. You do it. You know what?
No,
you made it. You should show it off.
Yes.
Exactly. I think this is something we encourage in the very first, even in the test streams. We already said we want to encourage people to share their designs. And when we first did the Break It Down series, it was just such a great opportunity for people. And I really want to see you guys just join. We have the templates, we have the files. Just let us know, even if you're unsure of it. We can talk about it. We can say, yeah, sure, this is gonna be a great idea. People will love it. For example, don't be afraid. We don't. I mean, I kind of seem like I will, fight, but I don't. I promise.
Did's a big softie. Don't worry about him.
But yeah, what Sparrow said, it did seem like a deep, dark secret. People were hiding techniques and stuff like that. I don't think that's right, because in my time with housing, people always link, how did they do this? And then it becomes everyone racing to try to figure it out, maybe have to go see it in game, and then it's like, oh, that's how it was made. Like it should be transparent, I feel.
Isn't half of you Reddit housing thingy some people asking how things have been done anyways?
Yes.
A lot of those are just people link a picture and say, how was this made? What items were used in this? And it was fun when I was first getting into housing. I felt like I had a pretty good knack for like noticing what things were, and so I would like try to build it myself and learn from it, and then show a picture and say, hey, this is how they made it. But when we're talking about housing combinations, like furniture combinations, that's one thing, but like glitch techniques were so like kept undercover, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Square Enix, if they got wind of it, might glitch it out. Or not glitch it out, patch it out.
I think that happened because of the very first one, when they said, yeah, we fixed the floating glitch with the was it the storage placement? No, it was the loft. Yeah,
the one where you loft by switching things out.
Yeah, and people were afraid. Like after SE said that, oh, guys, we're gonna fix this, people were like, oh shit, okay, never share anything else. But since then, they really don't give a shit. So share everything.
Sparrow's that original tabletop glitch, the wall floating glitch, like all that stuff seems so like it's been around for so long. It's like basic glitching now, like it's just part of housing, and so I feel like the loft glitch is really trending that way. Like it's only been around for what, half a year, but fingers crossed Square Enix isn't gonna get rid of it.
Exactly. Also, you're right, Keiko. People use something else than the glade benches, but also, like we mentioned before, we don't mind. Like you can take that and make alternate versions of it. Like you can use the wooden beams instead of those floated of those floated rectangular walls because sometimes you don't have a basement you can float drinks on, right? So people made alternative versions of it, and they still look amazing, and they are very item slot friendly too. And
Yeah.
I really enjoy seeing that.
Yep, same. Like I said before, I like seeing people take an idea that I did, making it their own, letting it fit in their house with what they can. Like that wooden beam thing, genius. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking, I was just thinking, okay, I can just float up from below. But you know, not everyone has that luxury.
Yeah, that's true. Especially in apartments, a lot of people can't get housing, especially after the split. People try to
Oh,
desperately
goodness.
cap the plots, yeah.
Placard
We-
savage.
All
all
right.
over again.
Well, we have a walkthrough. Very shortly, it's going to be dawn here in Eorzea, and this is from Maxine Whirlwind. She's on Ragnarok. Let me get an address just in case anyone wants to visit. I love this house. Just FYI.
Hey, I would love to visit.
Yeah, I know. How long have you been stuck in
Hey.
queue?
It's 100 minutes now, and I'm first in queue.
Oh boy.
What the hell?
I have
Someone
no idea.
on Ragnarok, log off.
No, to be honest, I'm gonna cancel it and just watch from a stream, but because I just remembered, if I want to go onto Ragnarok from Cerberus with this character, how long will it take me to get back? And I just don't want to know, so I'm just gonna cancel it for now. I'm gonna watch it through a stream. But I will definitely visit in my free time. Because I heard really, really good things about it.
Yes, so Maxine, she gave us the idea for the Keurig too, the coffee Keurig, which is adorable. And her house it's an aquatic workshop. And when I say that, I mean it literally gives you the immersion that you're underneath like the water. It's so cute. Let's see. Yep, it's almost done. So let me start this.
Also, Maxine is a amazing builder. I just want to add that because she's like, we found her on Twitter. She's she French speaking Tumblr too. So I was baffled when she talked in French because I just couldn't understand what she said. But she put like long walls of text beneath her housing post that really wanted to know what's behind it. But hey, finally she joined VFD Discord, so we know what she said.
I'm so happy that she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a cutie patootie. She said she wrote a message and it just melts my heart because she said a designer she really likes is Ashen Bride, and I was like, oh my god. And
Oh my god, really?
yeah, and that she took a lot of inspiration from that, and I can definitely see it because
Yeah, same.
very similar things. And again, I don't mind if people do that, if they copy things and use it, because it just means, hey, it looks good. So she's over in Mist, and here's her. I would say her house is a very big break it down kind of segment.
I love the use of the
Arch.
is that the Outfitters wall or the
Oh.
eatery
merchant?
wall? But anyway, the merchant walls.
window.
Yes, that's what it is. The merchant walls with the porch are perfect.
I want to add that. Look at the cute window coming. I don't know. I just like the window coming out of that hatch. I don't know what's about it. That's
I first saw that at Ashen's house, and I was like, how did she do that? But
Huh.
now I know.
It's just-
But it's adorable.
Well, how is it done for the audience?
Well, you would use the corner partitions. This particular one actually looks like she might have gotten inside.
yeah.
Yep, I
It's the
think.
inside trick.
Actually,
Same thing she
I-
used for porch.
I think it is still the corner, but she did it inside.
Mm-hmm. Because there isn't the one sticking out. That would be the telltale corner.
Yeah.
All
Seriously,
right, so
inside.
let's go in, and
You guys said it's amazing, so
it's an
I
FC.
have high hopes.
Oh, I need to fix my camera options. Hold on.
Ah, I think I saw this on Tumblr actually. First thing I want to point out, those books, this little custom bookshelf, something we need in the game by default, because these are the vanilla books they use in every single area in the game.
Oh, you know,
Oh,
I'm using default. Let me switch shader on to make it brighter.
Wow, you're using mods?
There we
Mods
go.
confirmed.
Man, the ambient lighting is so much better.
Olim says reported.
Well,
Report.
I'm doing this for your benefit on stream, guys.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's just say that this is a king's ransom in Demon Walls.
Yes, that is a lot of
Right,
demon
what's up?
wolf.
I love the what is it called? The clock. I love that clock so much.
Such a unique design too. Oh man, this little corner with the benches. Oh, the little what are they called? Oh, well, those are just back of the Eurasian maps. It's a thing people
Yeah.
don't use today that many times. Ironically, people don't use that as much anymore, right?
Not
Because they
since the
noticed
loft glitch.
Not since the glove glitch yet. Man, this looks so
Oh, that is like okay. Let's just talk about first off. We've been going on about this. Look at all of the different levels and layers. You've got parts blocked off. You've got like there's a counter and then a lower shelf with some glass jars on it. But then above that, there's even a slightly higher level. Like I'm just loving every little like layer of straight lines throughout. Oh, there's the
good. Oh,
Keurig.
there it is.
Oh,
Love
I
it.
love it.
That is so cute. I love it. I love this little what are they called? The cup holding thing on the wall. What do they have
the
a name?
mug rack.
Mug rag, yeah. That's what I mean. And the
And
little
the-
salt and pepper on the right?
Yes. Oh my goodness, this kitchen.
This is like a little. Oh, this reminds me of those
Oh,
just typical New York.
I'm
apartment
trying to
kitchens.
get a good angle.
Ashton,
Yeah.
you were so right. Okay, so look at the flame desk, but using just the towel
Yeah.
from it. Oh my gosh, I love.
That's so smart. I never thought about that. Like I saw the flame when I did the lab. I saw that thing hanging. And I thought, okay, that might be something. But I never thought of having like little towel there. That's so smart.
Open shelving above the
Same.
Very cute.
the range
Yeah,
is
so-
just so cute.
These shelves are the bar counter, right?
It looks like bar counter. Can you get above it for me to see or no? No, that's the mummer's word.
Yeah, you can tell by the items on top of it. Those
Yeah,
are
the
not
boxes.
Oh yeah, you're
the
right.
boxes.
And
Yep.
looks
Also
like
they-
she's got the lantern there from the camp.
Yeah.
The adventurers pack, so cute. I love that lantern. It's so hard to use, but that's a perfect spot for it.
Now she
And I
said that she wants us to go to the different chambers because this is an FC and she made the different rooms to go with this house.
Oh, are we
Super
going to the
cute.
chambers before the basement? Or wait, is there a basement?
No,
There's
that
no
was
basement.
Oh, right. It was closed off. It was just a
that
kitchen, right?
kitchen. Yep. And so
This is
she
something-
said that this whole thing is supposed to be subaquatic, right? So like that's why there's all these glass
Yes.
aquariums, like big waterscapes, essentially.
Yep, underwater, and you'll see what I mean. She did some really cute like levers and stuff like that.
Man, this is so good. This reminds me of this, Oh, this is from...
Oh,
This is the crystal
my
this-
goodness, that's smart.
That's a crystal tower fucking thing.
Yes, but look at there's the blue
It's
one and
red
the
and
red
blue.
one for
Yo.
smart.
Div
And
is like, what?
I have no one has done this before, and this is something. It's blue and red, as if it's like warm and cold.
Yes.
Bless you, Maxine. Bless you, sweet child. This is
Oh, that is amazing.
I
Yep.
never. I
Okay.
would have never come up with that. How did you? I want to know.
So okay,
because-
I want to talk. Oh my goodness. Someone's underwear just hanging out. Okay, so I was playing with the crystal tower this morning because I was trying to make like some buttons and levers to go next to like a security system in this modern house that I'm doing. And so I had the crystal tower and it like I saw like just these two little rotating things and I had it like up against the wall and I was like, okay, well that's cool, but that won't work for what I'm doing. So I put it away and then I see it here and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. It's amazing. That is such like I'm gonna see that everywhere from now on. Maxine, that is brilliant.
Oh, I know this one. This is the this is like a round fucking pot food item, but it just shows two of the little cups, and it adds so much. Like you won't get this if you didn't know, and if you wouldn't have experimented with the item itself before, you wouldn't know until you look it up. And this is something
Like
that is
hot
amazing.
pot item, and she's only using
Yeah, it's a hot pot. Yeah,
bowl.
hot pot.
Yeah, and there's the what is that? The udon bowl.
Yeah. That's a
Very
udon ball.
pretty.
You can still see the little leftovers below it, but you won't see it until you like put your nose into the ball.
Oh, my favorite, the carbuncle.
Oh, this
The
is
back of the carbuncle thing.
This is the two soccer sets, right? Oh, just like the big bottle for shampoo and stuff like that.
Oh, smart.
Whoops, I meant to go to the other one. So there's one more. It was like a utility closet. So.
Man, this already looks amazing. People don't use other rooms just to have more item slots for the build. This is something that people don't do much.
This is very smart.
Mox in our chat does this with her, she has like little shops inside the house and stuff like that.
I like
in
that
the
she has these monitors set up.
Yes.
It looks like
She
those
had monitors throughout.
Yeah, the info monitors, you can just look some details up.
Oh my
So-
goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
The crystal tower things again.
I love
This is-
the cloth racks.
Oh my god, the cloth racks.
Yes, Sleepy
is
Quill,
the
that is
washer?
the level checker. Oh my
That's-
goodness, with the Gordian bench. Oh my
Yeah, that's
gosh.
a Guardian one. This
I
is so
love
good.
it.
Yeah, FCs are amazing for extra rooms. It just
Okay.
adds so much.
Oh,
All this
there's
shelving.
kind of BJ style shelving. I adore, by the way, how she's done the cloth racks.
Oh, that's
and like
another room.
built them in.
Oh,
Is
that's
there
so
another
good.
room over there?
I think the door indicator. I think. Yeah, there is.
Oh my
Oh yeah, the door.
goodness!
I remember this toilet. Holy shit, this is the best toilet
That is a
design.
good toilet.
Very
Yeah,
cute.
you can even. Wait, is this the one, the Guardian chair, where you can click it and it will spin? Like,
Yes.
As,
Yeah.
as if it's
It's the bench.
actual flush. It's an actual flush making.
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious.
Well, and
It's
so I love using the what are those? Like the strong boxes back there?
Yeah,
Is that
I've also have a flame strong boxes.
Okay, I love that because the paneling gives it a more nautical feel.
That's very true. Yeah, the blue. It's just, to be honest, this kind of design for the toilet is so universal. Like you can use that in a lot of places. This looks more oriental to me, even. I mean, if you cut out the mechanical part below, but you see, you get what I mean, right? The little
I would say Olda.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
Ulda.
Ulda, or what's that other place that everyone is complaining about that we never go to? Thavnaria?
Thavnaria?
Yes.
Oh, Thavnarian, yes.
We haven't
Oh.
seen much of that. We haven't seen much of that, but
Sparrow says that's a toilet you can feel good about using.
Yeah. Well,
I would feel bad about ruining something that.
so I said it.
It's too beautiful to use.
Oh, Ashen. Oh, everyone avert your eyes.
Oh my god. I love the little scent candle there on the left too.
Yeah, keeping it smelling fresh, and I really hope that's not the toilet paper because there is not much of it.
Immersion. It's great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the use of the back of the Eorzin map to make that shelf look built in, love it.
Mhm.
Absolutely love it. See, it you could achieve the same look with a white rectangular partition, but it's not necessary. And
Yeah.
it's done very well here. Obviously it's not
That's
necessary.
easy.
We've been doing it since before, we found the loft glitch, but it's done well. It's easy. It all flows very well.
Something
Gosh,
that
this is
people
just such a great house.
don't use that much, which I think is really people should use that more often, are sunk in shelves, because they are like, oh, it's a shelf. It can fill out my space, but why not make it part of a wall and
Inset.
Yeah, inset. That's the word. Thank you. Something so simple to do, but people don't really think about it.
So
I love how the jars there are like, you know how they are like ordered from the left to the right. It's going up and then it goes down. What is it? Not symmetrical, but
The opposite of symmetrical? Asymmetrical?
Oh no! What's the name? If it goes up from the left to the top, in the middle it goes down. Holy shit! It's very even, right?
A sine wave? Like what?
Yeah, listen.
Diagonal
I'm already shutting up. Okay, that's not gonna lead anywhere.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, so okay, one of the things that's very interesting about this particular build is that it's done in such a way that.
Yeah, same.
Well, you know,
Sorry, my phone's ringing. One moment.
I was actually just thinking in regards to the FC chambers, because I feel lately a lot of people don't really want to glitch because they feel a lot of things have to be sunk in down below. But I would say Maxine's house is proof that you don't, because look, she's using the Eorzean map again as a border, and she used her FC chambers beautifully without having to hinge on things coming up from below. So don't let that scare you. And she used demon walls. She didn't have to float up white rectangular partition.
It's such a simple design. Like, people are afraid of floating the rectangular partitions. You can see there's very much easier and as much great opportunities for you to use other things like the demon walls. This is something we had to go back to every day, basically, before the rectangular walls.
Yeah, we used the maps.
I love how, like,
so dang cute.
The little sink there in the kitchen, if you go back to it, how it's just not a white surface. You see how there's Eorzean wall covering on the side.
It's like a
That's
drawer
so much.
underneath.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's so good.
And you know,
and the use of the natural pillar there in the corner.
Yeah. She did it all really well, and I think this is a great example for a small space being used great. Like, this is a kitchen. I understand that this is a kitchen.
And no one would like.
It's a galley kitchen, which really lends to the underwater feel.
The small builds are so, like, the small houses. I still think the ratio is the best, and you can block the basement off so well to have a single room, single floor. I just love using a single.
I really want to come make an alt on this server just so I can give her all of my likes. It's such a cute house.
Just dump all the hearts into.
Oh, I just heard the squish.
Yeah.
Squish?
Squish. The pudding squish.
Oh god.
But yeah, this house, lovely, love it. I'm so glad we got to walk through it, and I'm glad we're getting to know Maxine so well. She posts a lot lately in Fashion Design Discord, which everyone should join.
Yeah, basically everyone should do that.
I'm very glad that this was a house that we got to do a walkthrough of, because it's such a great idea, like Ashton was saying, of you have your small, you use your items on the top floor, but you also utilize the FC chambers as part of the house, like just going to another room in the house. It's beautiful. It's perfect. This hits every point in my checklist of a house that I like.
Honestly, I love it just because I've never seen or thought of an underwater workshop. And when I come in here, it's like, yeah, okay, you're underwater.
For sure.
I just like the seating area. It looks so official for some reason. Look like, say, when you enter something like a big office, a big company or something like that, it reminds me of that. It really captures that feeling.
She even put books underneath the table that you can only see from this angle. That's
okay,
adorable.
I was about to ask, but I wasn't sure if this is the bakery thing and this is just little cakes sticking out.
I think the books are hiding the cake.
I think so too, but I saw this little brown thing from the side and I didn't want to point that out because I didn't want to say that. Like, if you could just look at it from an angle, you will see it, and I thought it's a mistake. But thank you for showing me that it is. It's even better now.
Full immersion, Div. Full immersion. Salem in chat. Yeah, the aquariums give off their own glow, and these are all set to seawater, so they're very blue. Freshwater would be more teal or green.
I think, yeah, and also I think there are dyed walls.
That's true. There are probably dyed blue stage panels behind them.
Is it actually just
Oh,
the
the squish.
squish? Is it just the aquarium slide or? Because it's like this greenish glow, and I don't know. I'm not sure.
Uncertain if oh my goodness, if she did add cool light in them, then bravo, because it's seamless.
Very true, yeah.
I don't see any telltale glow on the floor, so it looks to be just aquarium.
And the floor works so well here because not many people use it, but in this case, it's perfect setting for using them. Just smooth it.
Didn't just use the new teal carpet, which I think is gorgeous anyways, but it's seamless. It's really nice and pretty.
The line in the aquarium, the line is just, it's actually light in the aquarium. It has a line.
You see, there's no line here because the wall is a bit further back. It depends how close the wall is to the aquarium, and it will have this line. Strangely, I saw that when I experimented with that too. It's weird
think of it like I don't know what kind of light it actually is, but think of like a tube light, like that's it's inside the aquarium, like just inside on the top, but like I don't know how to explain it. It's where you wouldn't normally see it if you were just looking in the aquarium, but if you like glitch yourself inside an aquarium and look up like out of the glass, you'll see those tube lights, and that's what's hitting the stage panel, which is closer and giving that line.
Yeah, this one barely has it.
You can see it there. Oh, in the one that Ashley.
Is that Misha? Did Misha just run inside there to see what the light was? Yes.
Yeah, I think. Wow.
That's some dedication right there. I said glitch yourself inside the aquarium, and Misha's there.
Oh my god, that was very fast. Wait, are they both on the same server, or did you transfer?
Nah, I think she has an alt.
Server.
Oh yeah, it's like so it's in the same world. It's not a wanderer.
Gotcha.
I would have felt really fucking bad if I stood there 2 hours in the queue to get on Ragnarok and she just jumped up there. Man, that is so terrible.
Oof.
I really want to visit
it,
but...
there's the Araman and the pot, the Araman vase. I love that plant.
Yeah, I was just thinking like a lot of this stuff is just again, I'm really happy. A lot of this stuff is, things we've done and
things that we've showcased.
Yeah, and things people have submitted, and that makes me happy.
It definitely does. I remember seeing Maxine's Eorzean Keurig here before, and I thought it was brilliant, and I wanted to showcase it as a break it down. And now I see that she's made a couple changes to this little coffee bar. There used to be like lots of cups and stuff lined up. Now she's hung them up on the rack, and she's added a little base to the Keurig. And it makes me so happy to see all of that. It just I'm thrilled.
She does a really good job with the small items,
Yes, and it really immerses you, especially because a floor is cut off. So you can pay more attention to the small items because they're not so spread out. They're all in a close feeling.
That is such a good point. Such a good thing to point out. Actually, if you add small items on a surface which are like you have a very clean white surface with those boards, right? You will see those items so much better. And if you clutter it too much, you will add more. It's so weird. You will add more detail by not adding too much detail.
Yeah.
Right. Your eye doesn't know what to look at when there's too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you look at this house, would you say, yeah, somebody could live in here? Or would you just say, what's the point?
Absolutely someone lives here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say...
details everywhere of inhabitation.
I won't say someone lives in there, but I would say someone works in there. As I said, it looked something like a secretary area from me, right? Like a workshop, yeah. It's not an area where someone lives, but it's definitely lived in. It's somewhere where people are.
But I mean the house as a whole, like that's the living room.
True. Oh
That's
yeah,
the
right.
living area. She's got a
Sorry.
bedroom. She's got a
Po-
bathroom.
I just thought about this BFC itself for some reason. I didn't consider the room. But yeah, you're right actually, now that I think about it.
And I think it's done masterfully because she worked with what she had, and what she had was an FC house to be used as her own house, and I think that's brilliant.
That's smart actually. If you have the opportunity to do that, that's amazing.
Yeah, giving me ideas. I should just kick out my FC members.
Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. Ashen's on a rampage, y'all.
Well, Ashen's gonna be like, okay guys, you pass your account data to me, your password, your username.
Oh,
I will
No.
abuse your room.
that's
No.
against the rules. That's highly
know.
against the rules.
Just a modding. Okay,
No. Well,
I'm just kidding, of
there
course,
is a
I'm just
gray
kidding.
area, and then there is black and white. You're good though. But yeah, that was a fantastic house that showcased a lot of what we've been talking about with layers and levels, and just drawing your attention to specific things, guiding your visitor through your house.
Yeah, I really loved this layout. I think it tied in well for what we were talking about earlier with Nora and everything like that. Like, she added a lot of detail, and yeah, she had to sacrifice space, but when I go into houses like this, I don't think about that. And conversely, when I look at someone who doesn't glitch and uses the entire space, I don't ever think to myself, oh, they should have cut this floor out. That never occurs to me.
Right, like that's not, you don't just walk in and be like, well, I would have cut this corner off to try to make this a diet. Like, they built with what they had. They built how they wanted it, and what I'm looking at is their creative child. It's their creation. Like, I'm not coming in here to tell them what to do. I want to see what they made and enjoy it for what they did.
Yep,
I
exactly.
think no one of us can really get into this mindset of the same people who say, yeah, what about the item source? I think it's a mindset you can't get into if you are not already into it, right?
But I can.
Yeah.
I can tell
I
you
mean,
exactly what they're getting into. They're looking at it as a competition. And
I
so
mean-
it's cheating to cut off floors because that's not something they did. And so if our screenshots look better than their screenshots, then it's because we cheated by cutting off, which they did not do. Like, that's where the negative mentality comes from, is because they're looking at it like a competition.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but genuine thinking like that.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
understanding it is just, it's weird to think about it. But yeah, I love this build so much. Like I said, it shows you so many different ways of approaching or even cutting some item slots, just saving some time by not floating rectangle partitions, but using the demon walls just like everyone else did back then. It's such a nice way to demonstrate how. Yeah, it's an alternative. It's an alternative, and so well executed that you would compare to usual rectangular builds, which are all the way up there in the housing designs.
For
It's
sure.
really well built, yeah.
Which just goes to show you that this concept has been around. It's not like using the white rectangular partitions to create layers and levels and stuff like that is new. People have been doing it with demon walls and Eorzean maps. So we've just changed the tools,
up to the
not
level,
the
basically.
idea. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, thank you all for coming to our podcast this week. It was actually really fun. It was a topic that I was really looking forward to discussing because I know that a lot of people question this current white rectangular partition meta.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people go, well, why are you using that many items to just create this when you could just do this? Like, I see that a lot, and I'm glad that we were able to discuss it, and a lot of people chimed in chat, so it was really nice. Thank you guys for stopping by.
yeah, I really liked hearing everyone's opinions, and I don't think we were too overly negative about why you shouldn't.
We have our opinions. That's
Yeah.
just-
And also, I would like to thank the chat, because this is, like, the chat talked with us much more, and we interacted more with the chat, and this is such a nice thing. Thank you so much, guys, for talking with us and not just listening to our rambling.
Yeah.
Ran.
We love to talk with you guys about stuff like that, and we love to hear our opinions just like the others said, and thank you so much for
So yeah, until next week, have happy housing throughout the
Happy
week,
housing,
and we
yes.
hope to see you next week.
Yep.
See you next week, guys.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.